It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here with the latest. We've got a Surface update on the update after the update. We'll have the details on that. I'll look at some new features of a number of Microsoft products and a whole lot more. Windows Weekly is up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 346, recorded January 22nd, 2014, halfway to Metro. Windows Weekly is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today. For a 30-day free trial, visit sharefile.com, click the microphone, and enter Windows. And by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll finally have all your financial life in one place and get a clear view of everything you own. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/windows. And by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging and informative tutorials streamed to your Roku, computer, or mobile device. For 50% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/WW and use the code WW50. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that covers Microsoft, Windows, Xbox, any Zune, whatever it is. It comes out of Redmond. We got it right here with the Kings.
This Week in Zune.
This Week in Zune. I didn't, I dodged a bullet. Thought about it. Great acronym, TWIZ. Didn't do it.
Jeez. This Week in Zune.
Paul Thurrott is here from the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. Mary Jo Foley from allaboutmicrosoft.com, the ZDNet blog. And I tell you, I got to tell you, there's nobody. You got these two people. This is it. I think this week I quoted you both 3 or 4 times talking about Windows 9 threshold and stuff.
Was it right after a swear word of some kind? Or
No, you guys really, I feel very lucky that we really have, 2 of the foremost people in Windows journalism and Microsoft journalism. It's really, you listen to this show, you're getting the best. Let's just put it that way, kids. Not me
like
so much.
The Justice League of...
It is. It's the Justice League of tech reporters. That's right. That's right. Shall we jump right into it? We do have quite a bit to talk about. Starting with Windows 8.1 updates.
Yes.
Mary Jo Foley.
I'll start it out.
You kick it off.
I'll kick it off. Yeah, so there's some new rumors this week about Windows 8.1 Update 1 that have been circulating. And
to be
just a
clear,
quick
we haven't
refresher.
received that yet.
Right. We have not received that yet. We think it's going to be coming out around Build 2014, which is the first week of April. And this week there was a screenshot leak from WZOR. I don't know if you actually try to pronounce that name or not, but he's a famous Russian leaker of Windows builds.
For some reason, it feels like it's Wowzer. But
Wowzer. He posted up some new screenshots today, in fact, that he said are of Windows 8.1 Update 1. And the most interesting thing in that screenshot leak is a picture of the desktop in Windows 8.1 allowing you to pin Metro-style apps on the taskbar. So, we've been talking about how Microsoft's going to try to make Windows 8.1 more palatable for business users, for people who are accustomed to Windows as it looks now, people who use it with a mouse and a keyboard. And if this leak is correct, this is a step along that way. So it'd be
sooner than threshold. I mean, we're talking the next update, right?
Right. It would be April this year, not threshold, which is April 2015.
Wow.
Right. And then Paul supplemented that with some information. Do you want to cover your own information, Paul?
I mean, the part I published is not super big. I'm trying to confirm some other information, but I should say before I get to it, the question I had looking at this is, he shows a Metro app pinned to the taskbar, but he doesn't show what happens when you tap on it or click on it.
When you click it, right? Where does it open?
Right.
Because the taskbar, if you go full screen,
normally.
But if you go full screen, then bye-bye to the taskbar.
Right. And so that's not a
weird.
huge advance. I mean, it's a step toward what we know is happening later, which is the ability to run Metro apps in windowed form.
That's the only way a taskbar icon makes sense, if you ask me.
I think so. I mean, I think this is it's sort of a functional parity thing, because if you you can pin a desktop application to the start menu, the start screen today. Of course, that launches the desktop and opens the app. And so this sort of reverses that.
So it's giving the taskbar parity to the start screen.
I guess so. I mean, okay. So that's. I mean, I'm not sure what to think about it. It's kind of a weird halfway step.
Yeah.
The part that I heard now is that they're going to be adding the ability for users to explicitly close Metro apps, and this is particularly interesting for people who have desktop, traditional non-touch computers, because as you move the mouse around, what will happen is a little close box will appear up in the corner of every Metro app. That way, you know how to close that thing. It's funny because the way you close Metro apps today, if you have a keyboard and mouse, is similar to how you would close apps anyway. Like you could Alt F4 works, but the touch-based ways of doing it, or even the mouse-based way of doing it, is a little unusual, where you kind of drag down from the top. And in 8.1, they added this thing where you have to kind of actually hold it there at the bottom of the screen for a moment while it does a little animation, and then it will go out of memory a few seconds after that. So again, I look at these things both as being concessions of sorts to traditional PC users who, by and large, don't feel that Windows 8 meets their needs because it's so touch-based.
Yes, I am one of them.
She's touchy about this.
I love to see these things coming, and I know a lot of my readers and our listeners say, "Oh, it's bringing Windows back to the old days, and it's not good. It's not what Microsoft shouldn't be doing." But if you want your XP and your Windows 7 users, especially your business users, to upgrade to Windows 8, you've got to make this look more familiar to them.
Yes,
you have to.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't really think. I mean, I get the debate here, but I don't really see it as a step back at all. We talked previously, I think last week even, about how Microsoft didn't offer that backwards compatibility bit in Windows 8, and this is arguably something they should have done all along. Make it a little more palatable to those people, which, by the way, majority of Windows users by far, who don't have a touch interface. And the Metro stuff makes a lot of sense if you're using a tablet, but it's not necessarily ideal on traditional computers.
Yeah. So we should mention too that Paul previously also had a post, I think earlier this month, saying that Microsoft may also be introducing a capability into Windows at some point where you're going to have floating windows on the desktop, like Windows on back to Windows again,
but
where you could actually have Metro apps,
right? Yeah, with closed boxes and everything.
Right. It wouldn't have to be a full screen app every time that you click on an app. You could have Windows again. And this supposedly is not part of Windows 8.1 Update 1, but it's coming at some point, either in Threshold or possibly before that. So this is, again, a step on the way towards that.
When is Windows 8.1 Update 1? Is it soon?
We think it's April.
Oh, you said April. That's right. You said April.
Yeah. So supposedly, our sources both have said, at least I think Paul has said this too, that they're trying to line it up so that it comes out around the same time that Windows Phone 8.1 debuts, which also is the beginning of April.
And you have written that in many ways that these things are designed to bring those two products more closely aligned to each other, technically and aesthetically. That Windows Phone, Windows. These are steps toward a future where they probably just are the same product or whatever, but they become more alike.
Right.
This is like a well-oiled act almost. Now tell us what else I wrote.
It's like, and then you said.
It wasn't intended to come out like that. But.
Yeah. So the other thing we should point out from this week, because I've seen a lot of stories talking about this, XWZOR, called out Paul in a tweet and said, "Hey, by the way, you're wrong, Thurrott. It's not coming. It's not going to come out." Yeah, he said Threshold's not spring 2015 like you're saying. It's actually going to RTM in October 2014.
Oh,
so
but RTM is different from coming out. We should say that those are not mutually incompatible.
That's incorrect. So, I mean,
yes,
the way I would say this is, people, with the initial Threshold report that I had, the Threshold will be called Windows 9. I noted that there will be no bits at build for Windows 9. In fact, it will not have started production yet, or development. And so, of course, the next question becomes, and I also noted there would be 3 milestones, which, in the modern way of doing things in Windows probably means beta, RC, RTM, whatever. Or maybe there'll be a beta 2, RC, or RC2, however they do it. So I think when you look at the schedule, when you think about this thing being a year off, I believe we speculated on this very show that it actually makes sense for the beta to hit in October, because that's kind of the halfway point between April and next April. And that given that schedule, wouldn't it be interesting if Microsoft had another build event this year, one based around Windows 9? Same way that this, Now, this is just speculation, but it makes more sense from a schedule perspective.
So you're
and by the way, I've heard April many times now. In fact, as recently as last night, I was speaking with someone who mentioned next year and saying, in fact, within the context of, I think we have this in the notes, of there's an expectation because Windows 9 is this new name that this will be some major release. But he said, they really can't get that much done. In fact, I had this. Yeah, I wrote this down. He said, there's no fundamental stuff happening in this release. It's the same type of release as Windows 8.1. It's a step, So, we have 8.1, we'll have update 1. Maybe there'll be an update 2, whatever. We don't know in between. But, Windows 9, a lot of it is just differentiating it from what is perceived as kind of a failure in Microsoft, this Windows 8 release that people didn't like. And that is the real reason for the name. I mean, you could make an argument that maybe this thing could be called 8.2 or 8.5 or whatever. So, they can only get so much done in a year. Windows 8.1 shows you what they can get done. I would hate to think what they could get done in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's not that wouldn't be much. It would be like an update 1 type. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think this guy's wrong on the roadmap, and I think I hadn't even thought about your idea, Paul, that it could be a beta that he's hearing October. But I was guessing when I was just looking at his tweet, I was like, I bet he's hearing about update 2, if there is an update 2 to Windows 8.1.
Yep. I don't know. I didn't see that tweet. That's funny. But I've heard April multiple times now. That's not even. I mean, I just don't even know what to say. So
I think it would be impossible almost to for them to RTM in October. They haven't even started building.
Absolutely impossible. There's a reorg that hasn't finished. There's a CEO that hasn't been selected. There is a Windows team standing around doing, I don't want to say doing nothing right now, but wondering about the future. October is not happening. I mean, it's just inconceivable. I mean, I hate to be absolute about it, but I've just heard April next year multiple times.
All right.
Yeah, I asked again. I heard spring. No,
who is this Wowzer guy anyway?
Well, no, he by the way, he leaks
a lot of stuff. Yeah, he
leaks a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Seems to be Russian. He tweets in Russian a lot. So,
but assuming it's a guy or whoever he is, whoever he, she, it is, whatever. But I don't know anything about. That just doesn't mesh with what I've heard. That's all.
There you go. I think you've defended it ably. Ably.
And furthermore, Leo.
You fool. Wowzer, you ignorant slut.
I don't have white gloves, but if I did.
No, in fact, it's all collegial, my friends. All collegial. One more update 1 feature that's coming.
That's just the close box. That's the
the close box. I do like that, by the way.
Users.
Thank you, close box. Why can't the desktop improve to better support Metro-like features too?
I keep bringing this up. This is just a pipe dream of mine, but it seems to me that there's a better chance of this happening now because they're starting to understand that this desktop thing isn't going away as fast as they'd like, or that the Metro stuff is not going to become as popular as they want, or whatever. But I really feel like they could make some additions to, I want to just call it Win32, you know, to the APIs there, where developers who have, like, I hate to call them legacy, you know, like current apps that are a big deal on Windows right now, could utilize these features and make it halfway to Metro.
Yeah.
You know, add that full screen support so that it works literally like a full screen app, like Metro apps do. Let them integrate with the share charm or whatever. Think about all the different ways in which you could take an existing Win32 app and provide some of that functionality. So when you do have a user who buys an Intel-based tablet or transforming 2-in-1 type device or whatever, they can run iTunes or Chrome or Photoshop or whatever it is, full screen, and have it sort of act like a Metro. Maybe there could be some sort of auto scaling type of thing that you could enable or whatever, just to make it a better experience on touch-based devices. And so I have no information about this. This is something I am literally inventing as like a, wouldn't it be nice, you know, or I think they should do this because I do. I don't know if anyone's back at Microsoft working on Win32 stuff per se, you know, improving the APIs or whatever. I doubt.
Win32.
Well, Leo, you'll appreciate this, and because we can't not bring up Apple all the time. You know, when Apple made the transition from classic Mac OS to
they provided
Windows
a
10.
mechanism,
They provided this interim bit,
and they've
Remember
killed
there
it
was
since. You know, at some
well,
point, you have
Cocoa
to-
and Carbon,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about.
By
Something
the way,
like
I
that
would
that
say
could
there was
sit-
mixed success there because by not kicking developers' butts, by providing Carbon, many
Well, they
apps,
provided
including
without.
Office, stayed Carbon way
And Photoshop, too.
And Photoshop.
Yeah, but you know what?
way
Here's
too
the
long.
joke. They're not moving to Metro, so you know.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we also have a much bigger user base to worry about on this platform, and that kind of solution, I think, makes more sense in this context.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wish they would do it. I don't have any inside information that they are, but
Feels
I wish
like
they would.
Burt Lancaster and Deborah Carr and Halfway to Metro.
Nice.
I don't know why. That's what leaps to mind. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go with the
Also, yeah,
charms,
monkey
put the
song,
charms
halfway to Metro.
halfway to Metro.
Halfway to Metro.
Halfway. It should be. I see. The Cars could be singing that. I don't know. Let's take a break. When we come back, the Surface. I love this. I don't know who wrote this headline. I love it. Surface firmware fracas continues. Fracas continues.
Fracas.
Fracas continues.
Like the guy from
I think it's
the movie with the guy with
W.C.
the stuttering
Fields.
problem.
I think it was W.C. Fields.
Better, Ken.
Are you having a? I think
Way
you're
to stutter there.
a bit of a fracas.
Fracas.
Fracas. It's a perfume for women. Our show today brought to you by ShareFile. Love ShareFile. I'm kind of glad that they're back on the show because I use it religiously, and I keep feeling like I should be telling people about ShareFile. It's a Citrix product. So, you know, I mean, they understand business. They understand how to make business work. And one of the big issues in business these days is getting, sharing files, for want of a better phrase. Getting large, sometimes files, CAD drawings, or, we exchange audio files quite a bit, to and fro without attaching them to emails, which is so bad for so many reasons. The security issues, the bounce back issues. And yet, I think probably if we could segregate out business emails these days, a lot of them would have PowerPoints and spreadsheets and contracts and documents and PDFs attached. And that's just not the way to do it. And I don't care. I see this all the time. The lawyer, the law firm that has the disclaimer at the bottom, if you receive this in error, delete it immediately. Don't read it. Right. That's going to make me read it. Please. You need ShareFile. With ShareFile, you're sending your attachments not as attachments, but as secure links. That means files of almost any size. I can't remember what the limit is, but I think it's 2 gigabytes. It's huge. The highest degree of security. You control who can see it, when they can download it, how often they can download it, for how long they can download it. You get notifications when the file's been opened and by whom. It's very easy to integrate. If you use Outlook, there's a plugin that makes it look just like email, but it's not. I use ShareFile every single week to send audio files to radio stations for the radio show, both commercials and, hi, this is Leo Laporte. Whenever I'm in Muncie, I'm listening to KWZOR radio. With ShareFile, too, you can access your files anywhere. Yours, by the way, because they're on the ShareFile, as well as the ones you received, laptop, tablet, smartphone, they have ShareFile apps for all of the above. You got to try it. We have a free trial. If you visit sharefile.com, you'll see now this is a little tricky because there's a free trial right in big letters in the middle. Don't do that one. If you could help us by clicking at the top where it says, did you hear about it on the radio? Yeah, or podcast. Click that green microphone up there. I think it's green. And enter Windows. That'll let them know where you heard it. And that's kind of important to us. Sharefile.com. Click that line at the top that says heard about on the radio and enter the offer code Windows. 30 days free. And, I think you will see why it is a better way to share files. Sharefile.com. Yeah, the green mic with radio listeners click here. I don't know why they haven't added, twit listeners or something. And I also hate saying click on the mic because if I feel like people who are watching the show are going to click their mouse on my mic. Not this mic, the one on the page. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking Windows. We're talking Microsoft, and we're talking the Surface firmware fracas. What is the Surface my goodness, there's a fracas going on. What is the Surface firmware fracas?
I don't know if we should let
Joe,
Paul even
tackle
touch this
this
story.
incredibly convoluted history.
It's a recipe for a PR disaster, writes Paul Thurrott.
Steam is coming out of his ears. I can see it.
So, and Mary Jo, are you suffering with this because you still?
I am not on this particular one, but the general problem is something that we need to talk about. The idea is, how public should Microsoft be about fixes they're making to the Surface firmware and the regular Surface updates they're doing? Up till now, they've been doing a pretty good job of it. I felt like they were every Patch Tuesday, you could count on it. It was like clockwork. Hey, here's some updates. Here they are. Apply them. And then December, things kind of melted down, and they had a bad update to the Surface Pro 2 that, for people who did manage to download it, ended up really wrecking their battery life because they were having problems about the machine not going to sleep, not being able to wake up. It resulted in some people returning their machines because they were so frustrated. And we heard Microsoft was hurrying and trying to get the update out as quickly as possible. At first they said post-holiday.
I raised
then they
stink
said,
about this in December.
yeah, you did. Paul brought it up on the show, and then they said, "Okay, we're gonna hurry."
Fracas.
Yeah.
It was a fracas. Yeah.
I raised a fracas.
Fracas.
Okay, so here's the part that got worse this week in this whole story. Over the holiday weekend, this past holiday weekend, Microsoft started rolling out Surface Pro 2 firmware updates to some users. It started happening Saturday and Sunday. People were saying on Twitter and email, they were like, hey, I'm getting an update. What is this thing? And we were having trouble getting information because it was a holiday. Maybe because the Seahawks were playing. I don't really know. But we couldn't get a lot of information about what this was.
That's a lot of excuses there. But okay.
I know. I'm trying to be generous on this one because, it was a holiday and a lot of people were away.
I mean, they just took the entire month of December off. I don't understand.
Yeah, so people started getting the update, but then some
By the way, I
people
just
were
got it
angry
on my
because
Surface Pro.
You just got it.
Wait till you hear this, Paul. I have more. I have the sequel to the story now.
Okay.
So they started rolling out the updates over the weekend, but then we found out that only people who actually managed to upload the faulty December update were getting these updates. So then all these other people who didn't get the December update were complaining and saying, where's my update? And we didn't know. So then we heard, we're going to get an update for everybody. There's more update coming. And we're also going to try to fix some of the other issues around the micro SD cards that people have been having with the Surface Pro 2. So then just today, people started getting another update to the Surface Pro 2. Julian K., one of our listeners, just tweeted to me, "Hey, I just got another update, and I already got this one on the weekend, and now I'm getting another Surface Pro update.
That's a little scary,
I don't know what it's
frankly.
So I have literally just received this. I've been checking this thing regularly because I did install the update.
When you see 2 updates in 4 days, that's not. That's.
But I haven't seen any of the other updates, and so I've been checking this a couple times a day, and you'll find it hilarious as I do that. I can't actually install it for some reason. Oh, I guess it's automatically installing something. So I'll just let that sit. It's like stew. It needs to.
Stew is the word. When you have a fracas, it's a fracas fricassee.
I think this fracas needs more cilantro.
He's stewing his fracas fricassee.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to complain too hard on this because it's awesome that we're getting updates on our Surfaces. It really is great. We've gotten a lot of updates. It's great we don't have to wait for a service pack like the old days or a new release. But we do need to know what we're getting so that it's clear, this is the fix to this or whatever it is. I think this one that's coming to you right now, Paul, is marked as a hardware update as opposed to a firmware update.
Yeah.
Oh, yours says firmware. Julian says hardware.
Well, here's the hilariousness. Well,
you cannot, wait a minute. I'm just going to say, you cannot update hardware over the air.
Leo, Microsoft is proving you wrong.
You can update firmware because it's firm. But if it's hard, you cannot update it downloading it.
The issue, as always, with Microsoft for me is one of communication. And I feel like this has been communicated poorly.
Yes.
But in this most recent example, we have reports from different people who get different updates. We don't know why. This stuff isn't appearing on the Surface firmware update page or whatever they have. This particular update that I just got, and again, I've been checking this multiple times a day for days now because of this, it has a little link. It says, click here to find out more. And it goes to a support page that doesn't exist. And it just loads the generic support page at Microsoft.com. So, again, it's communication,
Right.
There's a firmware update. That sounds important. What might this be? It might be the re-release of the December one. I don't know yet.
So there's no link to a note or anything where they explain what's
there is a link, but there's no note. That's the joke. At the end of this,
in the past, they've been good about that, right? Like when in the past, after these updates come onto the Surface update page, you go to the link and it tells you this is what this is, right? So,
I'm sure they're scrambling.
I'm sure they are too, It
says, by the way, it's rebooting and it says, please wait while we install a system update.
Yeah, so I'm looking at what Julian sent me. So one for January 18th says system firmware update. The other one says system hardware update.
That's
They're
awesome.
both software.
Sure.
So
Leo's point is well made.
Right.
Unless it's a 3D printer we don't know about.
So at least something is being fixed on your Surface Pro 2s, everybody.
Literally right now, something is being fixed. I always get nervous at the screen that says, please wait, and then nothing else happens, and it just sits there.
I know, me too. That's kind of new.
There's an element of trust to what's happening here. The screen went blank. We'll see. I mean, the issue that I had was, when these reports started coming in that the Surface Pro 2 was having problems after that firmware update, I started playing around with this to find out, am I seeing any of this? And the battery life on this thing went from reasonable to less than 2 hours, so it was absolutely what people had been reporting. So it will take a while to figure out if it has come back, but we'll see how this goes. I have a good feeling about it. He says confidently.
Okay, well.
Yeah,
let it stew.
That's our fracas.
Let the fracas
stew.
And let us know what happens. By the end of the show, you'll have some idea.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, geez, I would hope so.
Surface 2s are back in stock, by the way. If you'd like to, if you're missing out on the fun, you want to participate, you can.
Well, this is another one. Paul and I have had many an IM conversation about this because getting information about the stock on the new Surfaces has been also a point of frustration for us.
Yeah.
Microsoft hasn't had very many Surface 2s, the ARM-based ones, or Surface Pro 2s in stock. Some people ordered them months ago, and there's been no update as to when they were going to get them. Holiday came and went, no information. The other problem is when you go to the Microsoft online store page and you try to order one, if it's not in stock, you can't even get on a wait list. You can't pay. You can't even give them your money and say, I'll take it whenever it comes. So finally this week, it turns out that the Surface 2s and the Surface Pro 2s are starting to trickle back into stock on the Microsoft Online Store. So I guess they're starting to get more of them in, and hopefully that will trickle down too to some of the resellers like Staples and Best Buy and Tiger Direct and others who've been trying to ship them out to their customers too. They haven't been able to get them either. We've asked, so many people ask us, have you guys asked them where they are? Have you asked them when they're going to get them? I'm like, yes, we're asking and we're not hearing. So,
I mean, the only thing I've ever heard is the stock statement. It basically amounts to we're building them as fast as we can. That these things get built, they go into stores, they get sold, and they just are not back in stock. They're not hanging around. Yep. But don't know. Does anyone actually witness these things coming into a store and then?
I know.
I don't know. It's very strange.
I know. We also don't know, for all the people who keep asking, we don't know when they're going to get more docks in stock, and we don't know when the power covers are going to get start shipping from Microsoft, because we've asked on those as well. We don't know.
Early 2014.
So sorry. We don't know.
Someday. They may not know. Maybe they don't know. You ever think of that?
Maybe they don't know.
Maybe they don't know.
I know.
There are things we know. There are things we don't know. And then there's things we know we don't know, but we don't know what we know. Because how can you know about the things you do?
Much.
Maybe they just don't know.
He was the guy that made the Bush administration fund.
They should hire Dick Cheney to do their PR.
Jeez.
Let me tell you people, you journalists suck. Just listen to me.
And also, because they had that write-down of Surface RTs last year, almost $1 billion write-down, I'm sure they were a little gun-shy about ordering too many of any of these things, right?
Exactly. Wasn't the write-down because they made too many?
Yeah. So you're probably erring on the side of caution if you're Microsoft right now and not making too many of these.
If I were Microsoft, I wouldn't build them until I got an order.
But, God, this is like everything else. Microsoft is always a giant overreaction to whatever just went wrong and then going wrong in the opposite direction. Windows 8 is that. I don't understand why there isn't some. You can tell they're not making enough of these things. Is it terrible to have a few of them sitting in stores, like your own stores? I just don't understand why. I don't know. They made a lot of people very unhappy over the holiday period, especially. And here it is, we're 3 weeks into January, and you can finally get one of these things again. It's a long time.
Yeah,
I bet there's a story
I liked your idea, Paul. I think you were the one who said, just give us an update on the Surface blog, right? And just say, you know what, we know a lot of you have ordered this, and here's why it's taking a while. Give some reason, right? It would at least make people have faith that it was coming, Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, and I'm sure you have something in here about this eventually, but Microsoft's going to announce their earnings this week. They're going to talk about Surface now. I mean, was there some blockbuster Surface quarter that we're about to be excited by? I mean,
maybe.
I'm curious. I mean, how that gets reported, if it gets reported. We'll see what they do, but this will be the quarter. They'll make some comment in the conference call. It will say something like, "We got our Surface inventory under control." Or, whatever. There'll be some comment like that. By never having them in stock, we never had too many of them. It was the perfect situation.
And, a lot of people said, oh, yeah, but you don't know. If they're sold out, it must mean they are doing great with it, right? Well, if you sell out of something at the holiday and people want to buy it and they can't, that's not a great situation either, right? I had a lot of people saying to me, oh, I tried to get one and I couldn't even order it, so now I went and bought an iPad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ow.
So, just to be clear, those were in stock.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But
Apple,
it isn't, by the way, this
fast
happens
as
to
that
Apple, too.
process.
I mean, this happens to Apple, too. If
Right.
you wanted to buy a Mac Pro today, you'd have to wait till March to get it. So, I mean, this is not unusual. It's very hard to predict sales, and you're.
Well, okay,
I think once
except one thing.
stung,
Let me ask you a question. If you went to the Apple website and tried to order a Mac Pro,
you'd at least be
could you?
told, yes.
Could you order one?
Yes, and you'd be told
Okay, see
you
the
won't get
problem?
it till March. Yeah.
Microsoft never
They just take it
offers
off.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of stock.
Yeah,
And I
I
just
think
don't
that's probably
think
not the
that's-
right way to handle that.
No, it's God. They're trying to give you their money.
Yeah.
Take the money.
Yeah,
But
and
I
say
just
we'll
checked.
have some. If you order it today, we'll have some in March. We do that with
I know.
the Leo bobbleheads, you know.
Right.
These things are incredibly.
They're in stock. They're on their way.
We actually
They're
make,
like Leo, but they're small. And their heads move around.
if you go to teespring.com/twit, you'll see that we in fact will not build this bobblehead until we've sold 300 of them. We let you order it. We don't take your money. And then by the way, there's only 4 days and 7 hours left to get it up to 300. We only need to sell 91 more. And then you too could be the proud owner of that. Ah! It's scary.
I like that he's sitting on a ball.
Well, yeah, we did.
I know,
This is
that's
actually
great.
made from a picture of me. And then they took a Photoshop shrink pen and made me thin, which I like.
Sure.
That was one of my conditions.
Yeah.
Only $30. Teespring, TWESPRING.com/twit. 91 more and we'll build it. But that's one way to handle it, by the way. I mean, you're not going to do that, but you're going to say, but one way to handle it is say, you know, okay, we understand. I mean, and this is not in public. In the boardroom, yeah, we took $900 million write-off. We don't want to make too many. Well, fine. Wait till you get the orders and then make them and say, okay, but you can't have it till March. How long does it take to make and ship? Can't be more than a month.
Nobody knows.
No one knows because no one's talking.
Non-transparent. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
Here.
that's really, and I understand that that's your complaint.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just checked now on the Microsoft.com online store. And the good news for those who've been trying to get Surface Pro 2s is the 128 gig and the 256 gig are now back in stock.
Oh, good.
Those haven't been
There
in
you go.
stock in
Oh, good.
months.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's the one you want.
And the
I think you
Surface
want more
Pro
memory.
2 is still there as well. Let me look.
Yep.
How do you feel about memory on those, by the way? The Surface, it seems like 64 would be enough because it's really just, I mean, it's not.
I actually, yes, I agree with that completely. I mean,
But the Pro, you're going to want more because it's a computer.
well, maybe. I mean, it depends what you do. I mean, obviously there are people with kind of mobile workstation needs and whatnot. But honestly, I think for the typical office worker, with cloud computing and the ability to sync stuff back and forth, the amount of space you need for applications and for data has gone down dramatically, I would say. And if you really need it, you can add micro SD expansion. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the amount of stuff that I need to put on a computer to get to work has gone down dramatically.
Yeah. I always buy the lowest memory model. But hey, you don't need a lot of memory to run Notepad.
Right. That's
Those
true.
those files are small, small, small.
Right.
I store everything on SkyDrive pretty much,
Yeah.
file-wise
Right.
and photo-wise.
Right.
Well, and that's what I'm saying for an RT. 64 is probably even more than you need.
Yeah.
So
Not
ours,
for everybody, but yeah.
Ars
Not for-
Technica has updated it. But
Updated.
they did write an article. It said stealth marketing, Microsoft paying YouTubers for Xbox One mentions. Machinima
Yeah.
campaign offered undisclosed money to videos promoting new consoles. But you say no, not true.
How come that headline doesn't say Machina paying YouTubers for Xbox One mentions, since that is what happened?
Machinima is actually, well, that's what it says, offered undisclosed money.
Yeah,
to videos.
right, but the heading, that huge thing above
It says
it. with the-
Microsoft. Why didn't it say Machinima?
says Microsoft.
So Microsoft says no.
This is like saying
didn't know
Microsoft
about
pays company to make commercial. Except that Microsoft, of course, when they make a commercial, would have final say over what happens. Whereas in this case, these people are out doing viral campaigns that Microsoft has no knowledge of. I find it weird. The thing about the story, people were kind of hitting on me yesterday on Twitter, like, why aren't you writing about this? What's going on? Like, this huge story has happened and you're ignoring it. And I was trying to figure out what actually had happened, and it wasn't what everyone said had happened. And I find it odd, here we are years later, where there's still this kind of knee-jerk Microsoft clearly did something wrong reaction, no matter what the story is. I mean, Microsoft does things wrong enough that we don't need to make stuff up. I mean, we just talked about the Surface thing, for example. To me, there's an FTC issue where if you're paid to endorse something, you have to disclose that. And
well, and there's also lately a Google issue because Matt Cutts has really gone on the warpath for paid blog posts and sponsored posts and cross posts and all that stuff.
But
there are legitimate issues, and it's very clear that the line is increasingly being blurred. I'm not saying by Microsoft, but just in general.
I just want to be clear here. What I'm asking for is for Microsoft to pay us to do what we're doing, and I don't understand why they don't. But it just seems like
no. We should
be
clear. We get no money. You don't get any money from Microsoft, do you?
Oh.
Mary Jo, do you get any money from Microsoft?
Every time I write about Windows XP, ka-ching.
Right.
Don't even say that in jest.
I know.
We get no money
say that in jest.
from Microsoft.
If complaints were money, I would be rich.
Yes.
I mean, we can't.
No.
I don't know if it's the same for Paul. We can't even own any shares in Microsoft if we cover the company. Like, we're just not allowed to.
I don't have that as a corporate policy, but we do not own shares in the companies that I cover for clear reason. I mean, for this, I don't want to call them moral reasons, but because that's wrong.
So what the assertion was that not Microsoft, but Machinima, which is was probably the most powerful YouTube aggregation publishing company, was offering its partners $3 per 1,000 views for posting videos featuring Xbox One content.
Right.
Machinima does not deny this, right?
No, they've been very upfront about it because this happens all the time. It's no big deal.
Yes.
But here's
the money, if you trace it back, might have come from Microsoft, some marketing money from Microsoft, but that doesn't mean that Microsoft's direction was now pass this along.
Microsoft did not have any knowledge or approval of this scheme.
Right.
So, whatever. But what they did, I mean, Microsoft also is not innocent of understanding what Machinima might do, or Machinima, whatever they call it.
Yeah, you don't give $1 million to Machinima and say do whatever you want.
So, which is fine. But the issue here was basically that these video bloggers, and by the way, if you look at any of these video bloggers, I have to kind of wonder what the heck is going on in this little market of humanity. But they're supposed to disclose that they're being paid to promote a product. If I was going to get up here and promote whatever, some product, Xbox One, I mean, that you have to, that's a law, actually. And they didn't do that. And so apparently that is in the standard contract that this company has with whoever they pay, but it didn't make it to this one for some reason. It was a mistake, they claim, whatever. But now they're going to go back and fix the videos that are out there.
Microsoft has said that we have asked Machinima to add, paid advertising.
Right. Because that's what's supposed to happen. So I don't know, it amazes me that the story is still Microsoft paid this. Look how terrible this is. Look how awful they are. They have to pay people to like their products. This is the story that people really want to tell, and it's not really what happened.
Well, to be fair, what we don't know, and I'm not asserting this happened, but we don't know is what conversations Microsoft had with Machinima about what to do with the marketing dollars. I mean, what does Machinima do?
Well, except that there are statements from both companies saying that this was completely Machinima that came up with this and they did it. And
what did Microsoft think they were buying? Ads?
I assume they thought they were buying video bloggers saying that they loved Xbox One.
Right.
And that this would be done on the up and up.
That's the only difference. Is this is what they wanted, but they expected it would be billed as paid advertising.
I assume what didn't happen was a money-filled briefcase didn't exchange cans in the back of a limousine, and that it creates this kind of a strange situation where people have all this imagination about how it was, but and the other thing that comes out now, of course, is that, as it turns out, this kind of thing happens all the time. I don't know if it was Activision or Electronic Arts or somebody, but shocker, they also pay, video bloggers to promote whatever, video game they're doing or whatever it is.
Now, the deal Machinima, according to Ars Technica, made with its bloggers, with its video posters, was neither could they say anything bad about Xbox One or Machinima, nor could they say it was paid. And that actually is illegal. That's illegal.
Yep. Not Microsoft, but yes.
It goes against FTC guidelines. Maybe it's not strictly illegal, but it is a violation of FTC rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would know Microsoft's savvy enough not to encourage that kind of behavior.
Well, I mean, look, you can turn on your TV and see an all-day ad on some channel for some product, and when you're watching that's what it is. The point is, you don't want this gray area where someone's promoting a product and you don't know what it is. If Mary Jo or I write a review of some Microsoft product, which we do, or some product by a PC maker or whatever it is, you're getting an opinion. If we happen to like it, someone might come and say, "Oh, your website has the word Windows or Microsoft in it. Of course you like it. You're a total shill." And that's not what that is. This isn't about we're not promoting a product. I try to be transparent on my own website, and I write about the products I actually use, not because the company who makes those products, which I actually paid for, by the way, is paying me to do so, but because, this is my opinion. It's a review. It's just good, bad, or indifferent. I like certain things, and I don't like certain things.
Well, as an example, here's your page. By the way, great picture.
I know, thank you. Finally, the kudos I deserve for that graphic.
I don't even know what the genesis of that is, but I love it.
That's one of the video bloggers explaining why he took money to promote Xbox One.
He is?
Yep.
Wow. But it's very clear, and we do the same thing. It says advertisement here. It says advertisement there. Advertisements are clearly billed as advertisements. The rest is editorial. And this is why I think I'm more up in arms about this kind of behavior, is it really reflects badly on tech journalists. And then maybe it just makes it clear.
This reflects badly on everybody.
We are not the same as these YouTube videos. Yeah. We do something different. It's called...
Again, don't get me wrong. Would love to be paid. Would love that. Love it. Love getting money.
I wasn't going to tell you guys, but I have a Leo bobblehead for each of you. Oh, money. I'm sorry. I didn't say,
you're right.
Oh, money. Oh, that's
Paul,
something else.
The Twitch check arrived, but it's three-dimensional and it looks like Leo.
I could be making bobbleheads of you guys.
Uh-oh.
I'm promoting Xbox One and I'm not getting paid for it. I find this to be very unfair.
We actually legitimately like Xbox One.
Oh, right. That's what,
Isn't that weird?
I know. Jeez.
When are we getting an
kind
update?
of a lost cause from a promotional standpoint.
I keep going to the App Store. I'm waiting for my Amazon streaming. Is that ever going to happen?
Yeah. It will.
Yeah, it just takes time. I look every week. I go on my Xbox One. New apps? No.
I know. It's like a wasteland in there. Well, I should say the good news is it started out with a lot of apps. But
yeah, I mean, I have Netflix. I have Hulu Plus. I have a Blu-ray player. I can watch DVDs. I mean, I'm really liking it, but
you're not seeing new apps every week.
But I'm waiting for Amazon streaming. That's the one I want, and that's up to Amazon, by the way. You think it will? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
HP at it again. The CEO rumor mill churns, and Microsoft coming up in moments. But first, this word from Personal Capital, one of our great sponsors. They make this show possible. Yes, my friends, this is an advertisement. In case you didn't know. Maybe I need a little blinking light over my head that goes on. Advertisement.
Yeah.
The difference is we're very selective about the advertisers. We only do one ad every half hour, and we just really, this is how we pay for the whole thing. We don't charge you. Personal Capital is actually very cool. They don't charge you either, which I like. Personal Capital was founded by a guy I interviewed on Triangulation more than a year ago, former CEO of PayPal and Intuit. He learned an awful lot about money, about finance, and thought there's got to be a better way to help people manage their money. A guy named Bill Harris founded a company called Personal Capital, and he told me about it actually when he said, we're starting up this thing, and I signed up at that time. And I love it. I've been using it ever since. It's a dashboard to all your accounts. And so, and I think sometimes people in their 20s maybe who are listening to the show say, well, I don't need to worry about investments. Blah, blah, blah. No, this is exactly when you want to start. If you build your 401k now, you can retire gracefully with lots of money. But if you wait till your 30s and 40s, it's a little harder. Personal Capital lets you know exactly where you stand, all your accounts, to keep track of them all. get a financial dashboard. They've got great mobile apps. And then with the help of Personal Capital, you'll know how to invest. And that's the key. They don't charge you for this. It's absolutely free. You'll get specific advice on your investment strategy. It's all on one screen on your computer, your phone, or your tablet. Beautiful bar charts and graphs. And I love it. Try it for free. Why not? Give it a shot. They've been featured not only here, but in Time Magazine, on Forbes, and Bloomberg. Your financial life in one place. Get your free account at personalcapital.com/windows. We just ask you to go to that, but you can do any page, but if we ask you to go to that page, let them know that you heard about it here. personalcapital.com/windows. It'll just take a minute or so to get set up. It's completely free. And I'm really telling you, this is, even if you say, I'm too young, I don't need to worry about investments, now's the time. I'm not saying you're gonna buy real estate in Miami. This is about planning for your future. Personalcapital.com/windows. Give it a try today. And by the way, you don't have to be 20. It's never too late to get this stuff together. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking Windows. I was really wondering what you would think, and we talked about this earlier in the week. HP says, by popular demand, Windows 7.
I think Meg Whitman is like that woman in the beginning of The Wizard of Oz who hates the dog, except that the dog is Microsoft.
Your little dog, too.
Yeah.
It is a blow. I mean, it is the kind of thing where you're effectively saying, and this is one of, I don't know if it's Microsoft's biggest OEM, but it's one of the top 2 or 3, right?
These guys used to be joined at the hip.
Yeah.
10 years ago, they were making these Athena PC of the future demos of Microsoft, and they were, they followed Microsoft on every, possible product stupidity that they could come up with together. I mean, they were just,
Does this mean that Meg Whitman is off the list now for CEO?
She's off the Christmas list, I can tell you that.
But
weird.
I think from a business point of view, I mean, isn't this HP saying, yeah, people want this, and we're going to give it to you?
I think this is more like HP saying, I don't know what people want, so let's give them a little bit of everything and see what sticks. But certainly that would be one way of looking at it.
I mean, we don't know. I don't see why they would have any animus towards Microsoft. It's not like, screw you,
really?
Microsoft.
Well, actually, I do. Microsoft made Surface, and Meg Whitman infamously late last year publicly said they're not a partner, they're not a frenemy, they're a competitor. So that's a change.
Yeah, I increasingly feel like there's a lot of animosity with HP and Microsoft.
Is it not the case, though? Okay, I think you're right. I forgot about that. I forgot about this whole Surface thing.
And the Chromebook thing and the Android thing. And
yeah, they're selling a lot of those, I think. Is it not the
Competing in the
case, though, that
cloud.
Windows 7 purchases are up for everybody?
Market share. I think Net Applications last number still has Windows 7 gaining in market share. And, it's not a huge surprise when you think about businesses who are partially through their deployments on Windows 7 and people who are upgrading from XP, hopefully, to Windows 7.
Please upgrade.
Yeah.
Please jump onto that next OS you're never going to get rid of for the next decade.
I know. Yeah.
But look at it from HP's point of view. Not only does Microsoft go into business against it for the first time ever making Windows computers, but they might reasonably say, and our business is dying because of Microsoft's Windows 8.
Okay, but if I could just flip that on its side a little bit. Microsoft did not, out of the blue, make Surface PCs because they just felt like getting into another business. The fact remains that for the past 10 years more, PC makers have been making really lackluster products. They've been adding junk to them, which ruins the experience. And Microsoft has been begging them with every Windows release, please, 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 please. They did Signature. No one took it up. No one took them up on Signature, not one of them. And, Surface was a reaction to what these guys were doing, not, just some whim. Like, what the heck? We'll make PCs. It'll be fun. We'll be like Apple. The problem was Microsoft wasn't getting its experience out to users. It was being subverted by companies that put multiple versions of drivers or old versions of drivers on their products. It was just, and so, yeah, okay, the animosity had been one way for a really long time. I mean, I think Microsoft just got tired of it. And, as is so often the case with Microsoft, the only question I have is what took so long? I mean, this has been a long-term problem. So, Meg Whitman wasn't around for that. But, I mean, certainly this was a product, partially at least, of HP's making.
Yeah, and by the way, they still are touting Windows 8 PCs on their small business page, too. It's like this is the one that's front and center this week. But if you dig into their site, it's not like they're not advertising Windows 8 PCs at all, right? They're still there.
And it's also fair to note that this isn't different from the past, right? I mean, except that they're advertising it. These big corporate-oriented PC makers have always sold.
The thing that stings is by popular demand.
Yes,
right.
That's the little. That's the
zinger. That's
yes.
It's basically saying, we know you hate Windows 8, so we're going to continue to offer. Now, by the way, doesn't this end in October? I mean, they can't sell Windows 7 after October. Isn't that when the OEM license goes away?
So they posted that date, Microsoft did, and then they took it back and said,
that's right.
You know what? We're not totally sure.
We're not going to say. That's right.
Yeah.
Will this hasten that date, or will it slow it down?
I don't think this changes anything, really.
Okay.
It's just a little, it's just another one of those little things, I always bring out this quote because I loved it so much. I was complaining about Dell at this point years and years ago to someone from Microsoft, and he said, you know what? Dell and Microsoft deserve each other. And, HP and Microsoft deserve each other. It's the same thing. It's just, just animosity.
Well, gives us stuff to write about.
Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, over the past year, one of the things that happened, and I think this plays into this too, HP is not the world's biggest PC maker anymore. Lenovo is. And we better start selling Android devices. Oh, we better start doing Chromebooks. Oh, we better push Windows 7, see if that works. Is all an effort to see what, if anything, can reverse that trend.
Yeah. And do remember, HP at one moment was getting out of the PC business entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're
I think what
reliable company. I could see why people.
Well, that's the thing. I think what you see here is HP trying to find something.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough right now for Dell, HP, Lenovo, everybody.
Oh yeah.
People are not buying PCs as much as they used to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, there are parts that they did to help cause this. I mean, there's some stuff that they can't control. The world is moving on. Tablets and simpler devices, and that's beyond their control. But man, did they do a lot to subvert the appeal of a PC. There are people who will have PCs coming up for renewal, individuals or businesses, who are going to look at this thing and think, I don't know if I want to go through this again. And that's really not the, the kind of goodwill you're looking for from your customers.
Right.
And that's a lot of that is from them. People can complain about Windows 8 all they want.
The HP crapped their computers up more than anybody.
That's terrible. So, yeah, it's part of it.
Well, I have two words for you. Hans Vestberg.
Nice.
Hans Vestberg.
I'm disappointed that we need to even know who that guy is, but
I have no idea who Hans Vestberg is.
Right.
But apparently he's the next CEO of Microsoft, if you believe everything you read.
It's going to pump us up.
He's the CEO of Ericsson.
Yes, he is. Also, an accomplished handball champion, we found out.
Oh, I like that.
Good to know.
Will that be handy? He probably has a strong wrist with which he can spank employees. I don't know why that would be useful, but I'm glad to hear it.
Right.
So, what is Vestberg's? He's a device guy. Obviously, Ericsson's a device company. They sell smartphones. Right. Not the most successful. Yeah. I think didn't Sony buy them? And I mean, what happened to Ericsson?
I don't know the whole history of Sony Ericsson. But I do know
like
that
the Nokia of the smartphone world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ericsson, though, I don't know if you guys remember this. Ericsson bought Microsoft's media room business that was making the TV services over broadband. So that's probably when the executives interacted. That was last year, I think. So, yeah, he's the CEO of Ericsson. and he's done a lot of different jobs from the Bloomberg story that reported that he's the new hot.
But he has
rumored
been
can-
there since 1988. I mean, I'm
He
sorry,
has.
but that doesn't mean he's got a wide range of experience, does it?
He was the CFO. Then he became the CEO. He's held management positions all over the world: China, Brazil, Mexico. So
He's young.
he's young.
He's
Yep.
in his 40s. So that's
48.
good. Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's like, what do you think? Is he a credible candidate? I don't know who is credible or not credible at this point. He's just another rumored candidate. One of the many.
And he's been good for Ericsson's stock price. It's been up 19% in the last 4 years, although it's still a tiny company compared to Microsoft.
Yeah.
I think you need somebody who's got a broader range of experience. I'm telling you, an Army general.
Might not be bad.
I like it.
Frank Shaw was a Marine, so he was the head of PR.
What's
at
General
Microsoft.
Petraeus doing these days?
I'm
I
telling
hear
you,
he's
General
on-
Petraeus, he's the guy. Somebody like that, somebody who has real, I don't know, I'm crazy.
Well, no, you're not crazy, because how many people have led organizations the size and complexity of Microsoft?
That's my point. I mean,
You're basically talking about presidents,
somebody
leaders
in the
of
Joint
massive
Chiefs of
military
Staff.
organizations,
Yeah.
and possibly 2 or 3 other people.
Well, we don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
don't know.
this is a challenge. Didn't they say though it would be over early in 2014? That's when? Soon. Next couple of months.
So
You would think.
we should have a game we can play, like which will ship first, the Microsoft CEO or the power cover for Surface.
It's still not out. Wait a minute.
Yeah. The other
you
rumor
can't even
this week
pre-order
was the other rumor this week is whatever happens, Bill Gates is going to be a lot more involved in Microsoft. And we've heard this before. We heard this when Bill Gates was retiring from his day-to-day duties at Microsoft 5 or 6 years ago. Don't worry though, he's still going to be
He's
really
still going to be
involved.
here.
I don't know. He's the chairman of the board, so obviously he is somewhat involved. But this week he did an interview on Bloomberg TV where he repeated for the millionth time, I am not coming back as the CEO of Microsoft. My foundation is my life's work. And yeah, I'm going to still help out through the board. And it didn't sound very convincing, like he was going to be doing a lot more around the company.
The thing people don't understand, there's a weird nostalgic thing for Bill Gates. I shouldn't
There
call
is.
it weird. It's understandable.
No.
Yeah.
But Bill Gates, he's in a position now, or a place in life, or whatever you want to say, that it happens a lot in many areas of life. You could look at like professional sports coach, where they kind of, at some point, no matter how good they are, they've kind of outlived their usefulness in that organization. They just don't have the same impact or whatever. Or if you want to just bring it back to technology, I always think about guys like Wozniak at Apple, who was a technical genius for that day, but wasn't going to transition into being a technical genius for the Mac and then beyond that. Or John Carmack, who had a lot of innovation around at first like sideways scrolling type parallax scrolling, but then 3D video games, and really drove the technology for the first several generations of that. But in many ways now is not at the forefront of what's happening in that world. Bill Gates is not just, it's not about getting older. He's just not involved. He's not part of it. And I just don't, we celebrate what he did, I guess, but I don't think.
Hey, he's not down and out. Did you see him on Jimmy Fallon the other night?
Yeah.
For
That was pretty funny.
How can we help to get people to go to that website?
Well, it'd be great if we could create a viral video.
A viral video. I mean, but it's hard to do stuff like that. I mean, like, it's hard to make a viral video. Like, what would you have in mind?
Maybe something like this. Gatesletter.com. 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 Gatesletter.com.
This is a man who has too much time on his hands.
Gatesletter.com. Gatesletter.com. Gatesletter.com.
Like the little hat.
I want the little hat. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That's the one thing I missed from Bill Gates being around was the funny videos.
Funny videos. He's the
Yeah.
I haven't
king.
seen a funny video out of Microsoft in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we?
And I don't know what gatesletter.com is, but I think I'm going there right now. It worked. So is he, I mean, is he, oh, this is about, this is his annual letter. I get it.
Right.
That was, you know what? He is a master of promotion. That worked.
Yep.
Got me to the website. It's nice to be able to get on Jimmy Fallon, of course, at will.
He is Bill Gates.
He is Bill Gates.
He is.
But no, you don't expect him to make a comeback on the board. I mean, we know he's not going to be CEO, but you don't think he's going to like weigh
Can
in.
you even imagine having the energy to do that?
No.
I know.
No, he should stick with the
While
videos.
you're doing everything else.
Viral videos. All right, a couple of quick hits. Outlook.com. I always like that sweep stuff. The sweep's improved, even better.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff I don't believe that has hit yet. But yeah, they're making a bunch of improvements to Outlook.com that are coming over the next few weeks. I don't know why I don't do this. I should keep a running tally of the improvements that Microsoft makes to services like this, because it's really interesting how you can look back after a year and realize like how much better this thing has gotten. But I would just say to people that use or don't use Outlook.com, and Sweep in particular is one of those cool features that maybe doesn't get enough press. And
I love
it's
Sweep.
neat because, well, it just puts a simple face on what we used to think of as like email rules, you know,
Right,
or whatever.
Right. But it does
And
it
you can use
automatically.
it to get rid of a bunch of gunk, or but you can set up these really nice things where you say, look, I've got maybe this newsletter that comes. I want to always have the most recent one. I want you to always get rid of all of the rest.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff. It's super simple. It's just a neat feature. So there's a bunch of stuff going on with Outlook.com, but I would just kind of leave it at that. I think that's unless Mary
I
does
have
something
to
to
say
it.
that's the benefit of a cloud service in general, is that they can improve it always, constantly. I mean, that's the promise of it. You don't have to download and upgrade and install it. You don't have to notice it. It's automatically improved.
Like the Surface firmware update. It's great. There is literally no
we
doubt.
actually get a blog post about Outlook.com telling us what's coming.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wouldn't that be nice?
Exactly.
Hey, I see that Microsoft, while they insist we are not going to patch Windows XP after April 8th, they are at least, well, you said this last week, they are offering virus updates. I think you said this last week.
Yeah, we just got it into the show at the last minute last week.
So now this is official through 2015.
Right.
Not updating the virus program, but just getting the signatures updated.
Right.
Right.
So Microsoft Security Essentials and Forefront and Windows Intune, all these things are going to have their signatures updated. But Microsoft still is not going to actually issue security or any other kind of hotfix for XP after April 8th.
Yeah. 95% of all United States ATMs are running XP.
That's going to be a huge blow to IBM, which used to control that market.
Yeah.
I know. OS2. It was all OS2, right? What we don't know about that story, the ATM story, is how many of those ATMs are running XP embedded versus XP, because the end
That's
of life for
different,
XP
right?
embedded is further away. I think
Ah.
it's another year
Okay.
plus.
That is different.
Yeah. I was going to say you
It
can
is.
almost make a case that ATMs are obviously a specialty kind of application.
Yeah, but there's right now, we don't know if any that are not running XP embedded and they're running pure XP, their vendors are going to have to buy an extended
Yeah,
contract.
the volume licensees, I'm sure.
Right.
And who knows how heavily customized these systems are. They are
Yeah.
online. I mean,
I was going to say that's
are
what made me
online.
stop earlier. They are heavily connected,
Yeah.
obviously.
So, there's money on the other side of the window.
yes,
Quite a lot of it.
literally, it is literally a box full of money.
I do remember a hack a couple of years ago,
Right.
an online hack where the guy had his stooges go around and collect the money. Right? It was an ATM hack, and they had and they made tens of millions of dollars.
Wow.
I know a lot of, or I should say, at least several bank regulators. I worked in banking when I was younger, and when this internet stuff was kind of taking off with the public, and you could buy like a Linksys router in Best Buy or whatever, there were a lot of mom and pop type banks that were using just regular off the shelf Wi-Fi to connect to a branch up the street or whatever, and this stuff was just wide open. I mean, it was so stupid how unsophisticated it was for some time.
Yeah.
But I have to think that even these XP ATM machine systems are not like that. I mean,
they're not like somebody's old PC online with a,
because I get emails still regularly of the Nigerian variety, plus or minus whatever scam it is.
Me too.
But you would think, the money's in the ATM machine. If you want to hack something, you might want to go after that.
That's where they got 20s in there.
Literally money. Yeah, literally full of money. If you blew it up, money would fly out of it.
And by the way, thanks to Web, yeah, literally, I know,
it's just literally full of money.
Yeah. Web 2018 in our chat room says that the product life cycle on XP Embedded is actually for quite some time.
Okay, I bet that is knowing what
till
used to be inside those machines. It's not like there's not a tower PC with a modem in it connected inside the ATM machine, right? It's going to be an embedded system.
Well,
there,
some
right?
small banks maybe, but it's firmware.
I bet not. The way the banking networks are now, I bet it's pretty standard.
Yeah. End of life schedule. Windows Embedded. Windows. We have to go way down to the bottom of the list for XP, don't we? Whoa.
Right.
Jeez,
then it will say 2022.
Windows XP Professional for Embedded Systems. 2016 and 2017. A month later for Toolkit and Runtime. So you got a few years. Relax.
That's 3 years right there.
You got plenty of time. No sweat.
Next one will have Connect, so you can just gesture.
It's me. Hi, Leo. Would you like some money?
Well, all right, that's what we'll say. We'll walk up and say, "Hi, Leo.
Hi, Leo.
It looks like someone has a gun to your head. Sure you want to give out this money?"
What's the safe word?
Right.
Banana. Tomorrow's the day we find out about earnings. How much will we find out? What do you expect? What kind of numbers?
I think we're both hoping to hear some new numbers on Surface sales and hopefully on Office 365 Home Premium, what they're up to now. I think the last count we have 2 million subscribers on that. Surface sales last quarter were $400 million. So hopefully they're going to give a comparative number to that. But I've been looking at some of the earnings estimates that are coming out today, and people are saying they could still do pretty well in spite of the whole decline of the PC thing because their business. Their that doesn't make sense. Business PC business is typically very strong, even when the consumer business is softer. And Office has been a very traditional, strong suit for them in every quarter in recent history. So if they continue with those two trends as they did in the last quarter, they still could do pretty decently on earnings. I'm seeing some people say there's an average estimate they could make $23.6 billion for the quarter in revenues. So that would be up 10%.
Non bad.
From the previous.
I'm always kind of hopeful and always then disappointed that I will hear numbers, meaning non-money numbers.
Right.
Windows license sales,
numbers,
Surface unit sales, Office 365 Home Premium licenses, whatever it is. I don't think I'm going to hear a lot of this stuff, but I would like to. You can derive certain things from the money, obviously. They've recently changed the way that they report things, which makes it confusing in some ways, but. It'll be interesting regardless. I will predict that the story you will see by and large in the tech and mainstream press will include some phrase about the PC market downturn, and it will be one of the following: either despite PC market downturn, Microsoft soldiers forward with whatever, or feeling the effects of the PC market downturn, Microsoft fell, blah, 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 whatever. That's going to be the story. They're going to work it into that as maybe rightfully they should.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going through the list of stuff here. VS 2013 Update 1 is out. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Is just a quick reference.
Oh, yeah. Wowzer told me.
Visual Studio 2013, the development tool suite. Microsoft already has Update 1 out for that, just a few months after shipping the product. If you remember, the tools team said they're going to be doing regular updates almost on a quarterly basis. Last year, they did that. Looks like they're going to do it again this year. They're already working on Update 2. That should be out in test form very soon. So Visual Studio users, update your Visual Studio.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we have been receiving endless press releases about and have not mentioned once anywhere on this network, to my knowledge, is
Really?
Beats Music.
Interesting.
I just feel like the market's saturated. It's there. Everybody's found one, whether it's Spotify or RDO or Google Music or Amazon Music or iTunes. Everybody's found something, and it's like, why do we need another one?
Why are they doing? Yeah. So I that was my initial reaction, and I started looking at it, and I realized actually they're onto something here. So there are two things I think that are interesting. One is straight from the Xbox Music playbook, meaning no one has ever heard of it, so that's perfect. Which is, it's actually kind of an all-in-one service, which is something you don't see elsewhere. And so they offer the full range of services. So you get the radio stuff, the ability to make your own playlist, the ability to host a cloud collection, the ability to buy music if you want to do that. You know, it's the whole thing. So that's kind of interesting. Or I should say it's
Google
most
Music does that. Google Music does that. iTunes has iTunes Radio now. So
yeah, but the Google, the Amazon, and the Apple stuff started off as kind of what I would call
they were stores first.
Right. And they kind of added this other stuff in.
Yeah.
The thing is that the way that music has changed is that I think most people who listen to digital music these days are listening to what I would call an internet radio station.
Yeah. Pandora being the
Pandora,
chief
Spotify,
example.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Looking at this, I'm sorry, I should say the second thing that they did that I think that makes it interesting. Actually, there are three. I'm sorry, there are three things. One is that they're very platform agnostic, and so even though we see some stuff on Windows Phone, it's something like Spotify where it's never kept up to date, which is irritating, but at least it's there.
Yeah.
These guys announced from day one we're going to be Android, we're going to be iOS, we're going to be Windows Phone. I think that's cool. So that made me want to look at it. The third one is they're tying into a wireless operator, in this case, AT&T Wireless. That's not completely unique, but what is unique is that if you do that, you have the option to buy a family plan. And so the standard plan for this is $9.99 a month, 3 devices, 1 user. But if you do a family plan with AT&T, it's $14.99 a month, 5 users, all of whom can have their own collections, and 10 devices. And actually, that's a pretty good deal for, assuming you're a family of music lovers, and we'll take advantage of that. So that's interesting. It's obviously it's AT&T only, so if you're on Verizon or if you live somewhere else, it's not necessarily so great. But I think those three things together make it at least worth looking at, depending on your situation. Looking at it, I will say now that it is probably most like Spotify. And so if you're already using Spotify and you're paying for Spotify, meaning you can download music to your phone, you don't necessarily have to switch. But it's just something I'll keep my eye out on. Friday, the Windows Phone app is coming out. I'm curious to see what that's like. I use Xbox Music. I think Mary Jo does as well, but we're probably some of the only people on earth that do that. I actually think the service is fantastic, but obviously we all have different needs. So.
Boy, that was easy. I just signed up for it.
Yeah.
Whoops. Well, if you have AT&T,
it's a nice app.
It texted me a code. I entered the code, and now it's done. I mean, it was wow.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's I would say the thing that they tout that I didn't list that they tout as sort of an advantage. I'm not much of a radio guy personally, radio music. They have hired a lot of music experts, and they have lots of curated radio stations and playlists and things, and there are a lot of them. I think you'll be shocked by how much is in there. Yeah. There's a lot of content in there, and they have a cool way of creating something. It's kind of like a Mad Libs thing. You say, I'm doing this, I'm with this person, I'm in this kind of a mood, and it's like you construct this sentence. It's literally called a sentence, and you say something like, I'm driving, I'm going to go work out, I want to listen to hard rock music, and whatever, and it gives you this kind of aggressive hard rock music, right? And they have goofy playlists like based around moods, like you're depressed, or someone has broken up with you, or you're celebrating, and you're whatever it is, you're working out, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. So, if you like music and you're particularly interested in something that works across multiple device types, I mean, I think that's the big deal here too. You should check this one out.
It won't let me. So much for that.
What's that?
It doesn't like my email. And it says somebody named Leo Laporte's already a member. They did acquire Mog, which I was a member of, and I'm wondering maybe my Mog account is still.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Mog was really pretty good at internet radio. Yeah, it's Jimmy Iovine, it's Dr. Dre, it's beats, it's good, it's music, it's got red headphones, makes you want to dance.
It's for the young kids, that kind of stuff. But seriously, again, just from a music lover perspective, there is a lot there. So
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It'll be interesting to see if I could convince my kids. So I have an AT&T family plan to, hey, this is what you want.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean, my wife listens to Pandora a lot, and so we pay for that because you get better quality music and so forth.
I pay
she
for
listens
Pandora.
to
I love
car.
it. Yeah.
One of my kids uses Spotify for some reason. My daughter actually has an Xbox Music Pass of her own.
See, that's the problem.
So we're all over the place, and that's why I think these all-in-one services are particularly interesting, especially one that has the notion of a group of people. It's kind of like Office 365 Home Premium. You're not doing this thing in isolation. You can have a unique experience for each person. There's some value to that. So it's at least worth. I'm not saying you should switch from whatever you're doing. I'm just saying you should, if you love music and listen to music a lot, you should at least look at it. That was way more time than I meant to spend on Beats Music.
Well, no, I think that you're the first one on the entire network to spend any time on it at all. So I'm glad we did.
I called them out on Twitter because they referred to Windows Phone as Windows Mobile.
What?
And I was like, attention, and I miswrote Beats Music as Beats Mobile, which someone called me on, and I said, right, see how it feels?
See, how's that feel? How do you like it now?
See what happens?
Yeah. Beats Music. So there's the app, but it doesn't have an iPad version, just an iPhone version.
Right.
Well,
apparently the iPad version is coming.
I'm sure. Yeah. All right. I'll install it. We'll see. Finally, in this wrap-up of shorts, and then there were two. Nintendo pulls a BlackBerry. The Wii U has really not been doing so well.
Yeah. I had a theory that wasn't a problem for Nintendo. And like many of my theories, that is not true. So this is a huge problem for Nintendo. And even though their 3DS is the best-selling video game device, the sales of that are well below projections as well. And so they've actually lowered their estimates for the year on both of these devices fairly dramatically. I think by 70%, if I'm not mistaken, on the Wii U. And, of course, people are calling for them to once again embrace mobile, as I think they should too, and get at least their legacy games going on these touchscreen devices that everyone are using. And so the reason I put this in here is because we talked about how BlackBerry didn't have a fallback plan. And neither does Nintendo. They don't make medical devices. They don't sell insurance. They don't have a home computer lineup or whatever. They just make video games. And when no one is buying your video games, you get a problem.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep. And people get so mad at me for not believing in Nintendo.
Sure. Like they're Disney, all they have to do is spread their pixie dust and everything's going to be fine.
How could you not believe in Nintendo?
All right. Remember, I think it was Bill Gates when asked, this is for 15 years ago, but he said, who are your biggest competitors? And it was like, is it Apple? Is it, these companies that are, and he said, no, it was Nintendo and Sony, I think, were the companies he pegged.
Well, you won, Bill. Microsoft won.
Well, through no fault of Microsoft's. Both of those companies have.
You won. You can retire in glow of the success. Give him the laurel.
It was nice when we could just fixate on the Japanese as the source of all of our problems.
Yeah.
But
well, I think I should do this. Yes, our chief competitors here at Twit are a radio station in Toledo and the tire store down the street. And all we got to do is beat them and life will be golden.
Bingo.
Profit.
Yeah.
Tip of the week, software pick of the week, a beer and more. A beer that sounds like a cigar and more. Coming up in just a bit, but first a word about IT Pro TV. Love these guys. They came down and visited, sat in the studio, and okay, you're going to think it's self-serving. One of the reasons I love them is because they love me. They loved the screensavers. They were weaned, as many of you I know were, on the screensavers, and decided, they had been in the business of teaching people to get their license or their certificate requirements, their CompTIA and their Cisco and the other certs. And then they decided, hey, why are we doing it in the same old way, with classes and stuff? Why don't we copy the screensavers? Why don't we copy Twit and do something more interesting? Now they're on Roku. They're on any device you want. They stream. You can watch day and night. They have live shows with chat rooms just like ours. This is so cool. I'm talking about IT Pro TV. You can visit and find out more at IT Pro. There's Don right now. He's in there. I guess he's live.
Right. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty common problem. Your average end user isn't savvy enough, doesn't know enough to not click OK on every box that pops up. That says.
So this is for IT professionals who want to get better at their job. There's the chat room. This is so cool. Maybe you're looking to get an A+ certificate or an MC. What do they call the Microsofts? MCSAs now? Whatever they call the Microsofts now. The Ciscos, or maybe you want to get a CompTIA certificate. You've probably looked into what it takes to go get training, to go to a class. Even the books are really expensive. For less than the cost of a book, you can get a month of unlimited viewing of IT Pro TV. Their classes, if you look at the episode library, are divided up to reflect the test questions. So it's very easy to go to the section you want to study up on, or you do as many of us do, you just have it on all the time. And you will upgrade your brain. The episode library is growing all the time. I just think this is a great deal. Now, normally it would be $57 a month, $570 if you buy a year. That's still a very great deal, but we've got an offer for you. Because they love Twit, they have agreed to give you 50% off, half off. That means if you sign up now and use the offer code WW50, it's only $28.50 a month, $285 for the year, half off right now. So go to itpro.tv/WW and find out more about IT Pro TV. These guys are just doing it. They're knocking it out of the park. It's great to put it on your Roku, and you can have it on the big screen and have it on all day. The All Access Pass means everything is available to you, always, at all times. And it's organized to address the exam objectives for each cert. That way you can go right there. If you visit itpro.tv/WW, you can test drive the content too, so you get an idea of what you're looking at. Get started today. Remember, because you're in the know, you get 50% off with the offer code WW50. Tip of the hat to the guys at IT Pro TV. They're doing a great job. Speaking of a great job, Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, about to wrap things up for this edition of Windows Weekly. A reminder, our time is new. It is Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC. Join us Wednesdays. The show comes out a day earlier because of it. And you can watch live, and we love it if you do. We get a lot of value out of the chat room on the show. So thank you, chat room. Appreciate it. Nice to have you. Pick of the week, Mr. Paul Thurrott.
So, log me in this week. I don't know if you saw this story. So you did see the story. They killed their free product, Log Me In Free, and so now they're offering Log Me In Pro, their remote desktop solution, for $99 a year.
Which is a great deal. Excuse me.
Actually, well, the thing is, I've used Log Me In products for a long time. I used to pay for that. In fact, I paid for Pro even when there was a free for many years, because that was kind of the way you did it. And it works well and all that kind of stuff. But I don't mind paying for something that works. But the thing is, there are a lot of free alternatives. And they did this in kind of a way that I think rubbed people the wrong way, which was to say, we all woke up one day and they said, hey, by the way, we're getting rid of the free one. You now have 7 days to figure it out. So I just wrote up a post about some of the alternatives. And then since then, people have been commenting on that. And there's some more in the comments. But the other side issue, I guess this is a side tip. If you're writing a blog and you want to write about specific products, be prepared for people who make other products to promote those products in your blog.
Oh, boy.
So
is
been
it
some of that.
TeamViewer? Because TeamViewer's been, I've been getting a lot of email from TeamViewer saying, there's a free alternative. There's a free alternative, which is actually very good.
TeamViewer is the one that people were telling me to try out, and that's a good one. I'm not going to name the one that's been spamming me the hardest, but there are other options basically. I actually do pay for something called LogMe and Hamachi, another LogMe product.
I was mad because they bought Hamachi, which was open source and free, or maybe not open source, but was free.
Yeah, well, there used to be a free version for individual use, and now it's not. But it's not expensive, and I like that product a lot because honestly, a lot of times for me, when I'm on the road and I want to access my home server, I don't want to access the desktop. I just want to get to the files that are on there. And what this lets me do is open File Explorer, use the network interface, and connect to it just as if I were sitting here, and then I can drag and drop the files. And that's to me, that's amazing. I can also do remote desktop over Hamachi using the software built into Windows because, again, when you create a virtual private network, it's like you're on the network with the other computer. So that's a fairly inexpensive option. Some people in my blog comments talked about ways you can do port forwarding on your router to hit a particular computer when you're on the road as well. I'm sure that opens us up to all kinds of security nightmares, but whatever, you can do that, and there's all kinds of ways to do it. So. If you are a LogMe free user and you're looking for an alternative, there are many out there. Chrome even has an extension, I guess, that does remote desktop. Although I won't touch that one with with the 10-foot stick personally, but if you use Chrome, you could try that.
And of course, there's our regular sponsor, Citrix, and Go to My PC. I think a lot of times when we mention Go to My PC, people say, well, there's a free LogMe and we're going to use the free one. And I don't blame people for using the free one, but obviously the free model did not work. It was a freemium model and it didn't work for them. And sometimes
that's another one I'm curious about what happened because it was just so sudden and weird how they did it.
I think they ran out of
If you read their post, they don't actually say why.
Yeah.
They just say, we're doing it.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to read too hard between the lines to figure it didn't make business sense.
They probably weren't upsizing a lot of people to the payment, I guess.
Because when you go, see, the people who use the free solutions use it because it's free.
Oh, right. Right.
I mean, honestly, that's why people use
4 months from now, we'll be talking about what you can use because TeamViewer got rid of their free version.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
it's hard to. There are some things like games where freemium makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And all of our sponsors do free trials. But really, if somebody is a cheapskate and says, I want remote access, but I don't want to pay for it. I mean, there's VNC. There are lots of choices out there. You can always use VNC.
I just think if you're a person that actually needs remote access,
you should pay for it.
You actually need this. Right. How could you? You're in the position where you have remote access needs, but you can't afford to pay for a remote access.
That's it. I mean, and if you're just fixing friends' computers or whatever, then fine. And that's TeamViewer is a good choice there. I'm sorry, LogMe is free, is gone.
Yeah. It's just that LogMe and $99 a year. I kind of get that's expensive.
Yeah. Well, all of it's expensive if you pay for it.
Yes. Yes.
But is there not still VNC? I mean, is that not?
Oh, yeah, of course. That was one of the ones that was recommended, I think, by those guys.
Yeah. And that's free because it's open source. It will always be free. You don't.
It's like sharks circling like a broken boat. I don't know how they find out about this stuff, but anyway, it's just.
They do. There's this thing called Google.
Sure.
They search. And you're probably very well indexed, I would guess.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes.
You are also well indexed.
You are.
Working out
your indexes are obviously buff. Sorry, Mary Jo. We're just having a little thing here. Software pick of the week.
Let me collect myself. All right, so this is just a quick one. Microsoft has these fantastic apps that they bundle with Windows, the Bing content apps, and there are a lot of them now in 8.1. So, but the classic 3 or 4, I guess, are Bing News, Bing Weather, Bing Finance, and Bing Sports, and they all debuted with Windows 8. And then in 8.1 they've added food and drink and health and fitness. And there's some other stuff too, but they've started porting these apps to Windows Phone 8. And so sometime last year, I think last August, if I'm not mistaken, the core 4 apps, News, Weather, Finance, and Sports, appeared on Windows Phone, and they're awesome on Windows Phone. They're really good. This week, they updated the Bing Sports app to include some new features, the big one being live game experiences, which is one of those things maybe you've done on ESPN.com or whatever, where you're not in front of a TV, maybe you're traveling, you're out in the world, whatever it is, but some important games going on that you really care about, they have live coverage of that stuff. And so they do it for NBA basketball games, NFL football, and a bunch of international soccer/football, whatever they call it where you live, type leagues that I just don't actually know anything about. So if you have a Windows phone, you should have all these apps. The weather app is fantastic as well. It's a nice live tile you can put on there for the live forecast and all that stuff. So,
well, not just Windows Phone. I mean, Windows too, right?
Windows too. But I don't know if the Bing Sports app on Windows has gotten this update or already had it.
I love the Bing apps, and they come with Windows, so you have it if you have a Surface.
Yeah, but they're just they're not throwaway apps. These are actually great apps.
They've hired editorial staff. I mean, these are publications. This isn't junk.
The other thing is, and I'm writing about this in the book, is that the Windows apps have like these surprising integration bits. Like everyone talks about things like, Xbox Music is integrated with Windows, and Xbox games are integrated with Windows and all that kind of stuff. And yes, but it's actually kind of amazing. You can integrate the, the finance app can integrate with various like E-Trade and all of those kind of services. The health and fitness app integrates with Microsoft Health Vault. There's actually a bunch of integration in these apps that I think a lot of people just aren't aware of. That's really kind of cool. So Bing Sports is not like that as a sports app, but it's a great one if you have a phone, a Windows phone.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself. It's time to utter the famous phrase, Hadoop.
It is.
Hadoop.
It wouldn't be a Windows Weekly without a Hadoop.
Hadoop. I need a kind of like a morning zoo.
You need a trumpet
sounder thing for Mary Jo. Woo, Hadoop. Or something.
Yeah, or maybe Hadoop.
Hadoop. Yeah, like Yahoo. Hadoop. Yeah. Okay, well, somebody will make that for us, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, the reason we're talking about Hadoop this week is the Hortonworks sorry, I just totally miffed that. The Hortonworks data platform for Windows 2.0 went GA this week, which means generally available for anyone who doesn't know that. And this is a big deal because earlier, a few months ago, Hadoop 2.0 went GA for Linux. And so now it's available also for Windows from Hortonworks. This is the only Hadoop 2.0 certified version that runs on Windows Server 2008 R2, Windows Server 2012, and Windows Server 2012 R2. It's got a whole ton of new features that I'm not going to go through because there's too many, but there's been changes to the Hadoop distributed file system. There's things going on with Apache Hive, NoSQL. So you should go and check it out on Hortonworks site and see all the different things you can get if you are someone who makes use of Hadoop. The big question, of course, is when is Microsoft's HD Insight going to be updated so it takes advantage of Hadoop 2.0? And sadly, we have a no comment from Microsoft and Hortonworks on that, but hopefully very soon. That way you'll be able to get HD Insight on Azure using this new technology and also on Windows Server.
That's hot.
Hot.
Did you see that Paris Hilton wants to trademark?
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
That's hot. I think you should trademark, that's Hadoop.
I think I should.
That's Hadoop.
You got to get on that. Got to get on that.
It's like Candy Crush is going to trademark
candy.
Oh, man. Wow.
Wow. What a world. What a world. A bonus enterprise pick. How about that?
Right.
How about that? Huh?
I don't have a codename pick this week because I'm working on something that I may have for next week. But instead, I'll give you a second enterprise pick, which is actually a really good one. If you go over to the Microsoft Springboard blog, they have a whole list of different guides for business users who are trying to learn Windows 8.1. And the latest one that they added is this 20-page free downloadable navigational guide that you can distribute to your own users in-house. You can even customize it. It has a whole way you can use templates to make it specific for your users at your company. And this is something Microsoft should have had out with Windows 8 from the get-go, I think. It just shows you some of the real basic things, like here's how the File Explorer works, here's what happens when you click on this. It's all little tips and tricks that would have been really handy and made a big difference, I think, to business users at the beginning of the Windows 8 rollout.
Why don't you do this? God, I mean, come on. It's a year. It's a year old, and you're putting this out now.
I know. So this page is good, though. At least there's a whole bunch of how-to video tutorial links.
Yeah.
There's the quick guide for business users and a whole bunch of handy things.
This is great. But it seems to me this is something you have a whole team working on before it ships, and then you release it.
Don't tell them what to do. I have a job.
I know.
That's
and that's
true.
why So
Good
if
point.
you want the full version with all the tips and tricks, you got to get Paul's Windows 8.1
Perfect.
book.
There
Thank
you
you.
go. Nice.
Yeah, this is just
This is
the tip of
just,
the
this
iceberg.
is some
Superfluous
online
surface
stuff on the
stuff.
internet. What good is that?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't your book's like $2 or something, right?
$2.
$2? Really? That's
Not,
what you're
not
charging?
$99 like Log Me
You're
In Pro.
charging $2
Yeah.
Sure.
for your
you could pay
book?
less if you wanted to. We let you change it.
And you go, where do you go? Windows
81book.com.
81book.com.
It's now over 400 pages long.
$2. That's like 4 mils a page or something.
It's not
It's
even-
ridiculous. It's not even that. It's a
almost
mil a
charity,
page.
Leo.
Nothing. By the way,
Right.
Bill Gates not only was on Jimmy Fallon, but I see now he has a sponsored tweet promoted by Bill
Sponsored
Gates.
tweet.
He's a sponsored tweet. The world is better than it's ever been, but I'm struck by how few people know this. Read why in my annual letter. And apparently Bill also has his own personal URL shortener, b-gat.es.
Oh,
Wow.
brother.
BGAT. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Hey, BGAT. What's happening, my man? BGAT. Mary Jo, spare us. Save us.
I will.
Give us beer.
I'm going to give you some
Or
beer.
a code name at
I
least.
made an addition to the beer pick, by the way. I don't know if you see that.
Oh, good. Okay. We're going to do a couple beers here. So the one I've got for the beer pick of the week is called Cigar City, Florida Cracker. Yes. So it's
much,
not what you
so
think.
much so wrong with this.
I don't even know
This
what
is
that
not
could
what you-
possibly mean.
It's a wit beer, which is a Belgian wheat. It's similar, but a million times better than Blue Moon. So if you like Blue Moon and you like that whole coriander orange peel thing, you're going to like this beer. I looked up why they called it Florida Cracker, and it turns out that the original descendants of what is now the U.S. state of Florida originally were called crackers.
Well, now there's
know,
more
I
to the
know.
story than that. It's kind of a
There is.
pejorative. It's not.
I know.
Okay.
It is. It is.
But they're embracing it.
They're trying to take back.
It's like
meaning.
next we're going to have honky beer.
By the way,
Old Fay beer.
that probably exists.
I'm sure it
It
does.
probably does.
This is the
But
ugliest can. This can looks like Fresca.
It looks weird, right? But the reason another reason I picked this beer is because on January 24th, it's National Beer Can Appreciation Day. So
Well,
I wanted to pick a
appreciate this
canned
can.
beer.
Oh. You know, I love Belgian style white ale. I really do.
I know.
I've never
this
had
beer
it
is
in a
really
can.
good.
That's
Yep,
so weird.
and you
Why
know-
do they choose a can?
Cans are making a big comeback in craft beer as well.
Oh, interesting.
And many times the cans actually have beer that tastes better than the bottled beer because there's less chance for things to go wrong.
No light shining through.
Right.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I've been drinking a lot of canned craft beers, and they're very good. And this one is a very good one if you like the style, the wit beer style.
Florida Cracker Belgian style white
know.
ale.
The name is odd, but the beer is very good.
That's awesome.
Okay, good. That's all we care about. How's the beer?
Exactly. That's all we
That's
care.
all we care about.
But Paul has something to say on beer.
Yeah, I guess
today.
two things. So my favorite local brewery, which is Blue Hills Brewery, which is in Canton, Mass, right next door to me, now sells some of their beers in cans for the first time. In
Wow.
fact, they just started doing that
Oh,
last
wow.
week.
That's neat.
The other thing that's been kind of a big news story around these parts is that America's first Trappist ale has arrived, and oddly enough, it's from Massachusetts.
Spencer.
I know.
There's Spencer.
So I'm going to go
I saw
grab
this.
some of this over the weekend.
You know, it's so funny because I saw this article and I looked at the headline and I looked at the picture and I read it as Monks in Space launch.
Yeah. Right.
He looks like a space monk. So Trappist is a style. It's Belgian, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the beers we like. Our Trappist.
Yeah, I know.
beer-
And by the
monk
way, you
beer.
can't go wrong with a beer made by a monk. So
All my
this-
booze
this
is
could be
made by
good.
monks.
If you look at this thing on Beer Advocate, I believe it has a 91 rating.
That's like high, right?
Right. It's the first
little-
Trappist beer maker outside of Europe, right?
Yeah.
All of the others, the 8 others that are authorized to make Trappist beer are all in Europe. And this is the first one outside.
These St. Joseph's Abbey. I got to ask Father Robert Balaser, our tame Jesuit here, what is a Trappist? What makes a monk a Trappist?
See if he can hook you up with some beer. They must have like a Catholic inn. You know.
I'll never forget as a kid going to the Benedictine monastery and in Fécamp, France, where they make Benedictine.
Not in
Fracas.
Fracas,
Benedict-
France.
Fracas. You also picked a little. I guess this is it. This is on the beer advocate website. The Trappist ale from Spencer.
Paul, I'm actually going to get to try that beer tomorrow.
Nice.
Looks
A
good.
friend of mine
Actually,
just brought
so
it back.
I've been buying a lot of local beer lately, like different local beer, and you'll be able to see some of that on Untappd tonight if things go the way they're trending. So I think
Well, I'm
pay
sorry
attention to
about
that,
your
Al.
Patriots there, Paul, but we share something in common on that one.
Yeah, you guys got ripped.
I don't know. It's just it was bad all around. I'm a Tom Brady fan, and I really was hoping to see the
No, I don't
Niners
care
and
about
the-
that. I would
the Niners and
say of the
Pats
final 4 teams in the NFL, the Patriots were the one that didn't belong.
I don't know
And
if that's true.
That any of those 3 other teams going to the Super Bowl made plenty of sense.
I think
And
it's
gonna be a
unfortunate.
great game.
It's unfortunate that you had to face Peyton Manning in a career year. That's really all there is to it. And
Well, and with half of our team.
yeah,
but
right.
But that's
right.
the point.
Well, the
That's
rest
what
are in
happens.
jail, but these things happen, you know.
I still say that Team Tebow was the worst thing that happened to the Patriots this year, but but I hear you.
Okay, Mary Jo's tuning out, so let's wrap this sports talk up. Do you follow football at least, Mary Jo?
Nope, I don't give a crap about football.
Wow. I actually got a little
Sorry.
chilly at my back when she said that.
This show is fracas. It's the fracas in Massachusetts. What rhymes with fracas? The fracas and Secaucus. Our show today is over. There's nothing more to say.
I shouldn't also say it.
Paul Thurrott is at the super site for Windows, winsupersite.com. Follow him there. Follow his book, Windows81secrets.com.
No.
Windows81
Windows 81
book.com. There's no secret about it. Windows81book.com. It's $2 or whatever you want to pay. It's worth $200. Just think of it that way.
You could pay $200. I would take it.
And it would be well worth it. You can also find Mary Jo Foley online at allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's a kind of a shortcut to her ZDNet blog where she posts frequently. And you can find the both of them in one and only one place right here for Windows Weekly every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1900 UTC on twit.tv. On-demand audio and video always available after the fact at twit.tv/WW. Or online at the Xbox Music Store. It's free, always free. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mary Jo. See you next time on Windows Weekly.